pull on in to our Drive-In of Terror for Season 2, Episode 20 of Scare Your Pants Off, because it's movie night. Tonight's fright-filled feature is The Conjuring. You grab the snacks, we'll kill the lights. How you doing, Tom?
I am excellent today. I am excellent. How are you?
I'm really good, and I'm actually really excited to talk to you because I feel like I actually remembered crap that I watched. And it's not all crap, but some of it might be, but stuff that I've watched that I'm dying to talk to you about.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Have you seen We Have a Ghost yet?
No, but it keeps coming across my whatever. I don't know if it's Netflix or Prime or something like that.
I think it's
Oh,
it's Netflix, yep.
okay. And it's under my rec. We think you'll like this. So it's good.
It's really good. So it's not it's not like super scary or anything like that. It's a little cheesy, but I can't remember his friggin' name. The guy who plays Hopper from Stranger Things, whose name I can never remember.
David Harbor.
Thank you, David Harbour. He actually plays the ghost. So what's really cool about this is there's like a plot twist, and it's really kind of neat. But it's a great movie. Anthony Mackie's in it. But yeah, I
Love
you
it.
should watch it. It is right up your alley, and it's a light movie, but it's a good movie, and it's a little funny, so it's pretty good.
No. So we have a ghost. I wrote that. Uh, any others?
All right, so there is something, and I don't know if everybody listening already knows this about me, and I feel like they don't, and I feel like I don't know if you know this about me. There is one thing that you can put in a horror movie that will pretty much guarantee that I will not only watch it, but I will go through great lengths to get to the end of the movie, even if it's bad. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't. And now I'm really, really curious.
All right, it is sharks.
Really?
It Yes, and I'm
Really?
not proud of some of the movies I've watched all the way through.
I wouldn't have
But
guessed that at all. That's funny.
so obviously you have like Jaws and like Sharknado and the Meg and stuff like that, but I've also watched some really really not good ones. But I watched one the other day, and it's actually called 47 Meters Down, Uncaged, and it's a sequel, which I actually didn't know. So now I have to go back and watch another one because I had no freaking clue. But it's a sequel, and the first 20 minutes of this was awful. It was horrible, and I had contemplated, as I had numerous times before, breaking my own my own rule and not giving a shark movie more chance than a normal movie for no reason.
Okay.
Because the first 20 minutes, so basically it's centered around like a group of teenage girls, and they're skipping a field trip, and this first chunk of the movie is it's just annoying. I'm 40. I don't want to listen to it. I don't want to hear the any of it. I don't want to see your butt. I don't want any of that. But right. But so speaking of what, um, when they start to dive, they basically end up exploring this like sunken Mayan city. And it is cool. First of all, the scenery is really cool. Anything with a cave, anything like deep diving, just automatically sucks you in. Especially if you turn on your surround sound and like the lights are out and stuff like that. You are in there with them, and it is awesome. And
Nice.
there is maybe a couple still vaguely annoying things that happen, but like when the stuff picks up, it gets really, really good. And this movie is one of the few movies that managed to get me with one jump scare, only one, but it got me, and it got me good. Like it got me, and um, just the concept of it was so friggin' awesome. There's these sharks that have been living in this Mayan like sunken city, and they've adapted almost like a cave tetra. And there's actually a cave tetra, and then it's really really big, like bigger than it should be, but it doesn't need eyes to see because it can't see in the dark, and it's really cool. So they're really more drawn to things by sound and movement and stuff like that, and it's a whole different level of creepy. But if you don't generally watch shark movies, I absolutely recommend this one. Just know that the first, like I said, 25-ish minutes are not wonderful, but it gets really, really good.
47 meters down uncaged. I wrote it down. I double check. That's funny. I would never guess that you're shark, that you like shark movies that much. Because I'm almost the opposite. Honestly, I'm almost like, of course, you have two of the finest films ever made with Jaws and Sharknado, but other ones, I'm just not super in it. Usually, if it's a shark movie, I'm not into it. I'll watch them, but I am not
I
like.
have to. It's like Shark Week. I love Shark Week. I just and I don't even care. Anything. I love sharks. I love the whole I got Eric got me for Christmas my own shark. He adopted me a shark and it's a hammerhead and his name is Finn and I get to track him and yeah,
That's
I'm
cool.
ridiculous. I love all this stuff.
That's funny. Yeah, I've never been a big sea creature type of thing. I don't really like going into the ocean because of sharks, and so that's funny. I would have never guessed that with you, but like I said, I do watch some. I watch like usually when they come out. It just I don't seek them out too much.
Wait, you hold on. I'm gonna understand that I'm about to judge you really hard. You've seen the Meg, right?
Oh yeah, yes, I've seen the Meg. Yes.
Okay. Friendship saved. Do you know that the second one is actually coming out this year?
No,
Yep.
really.
And Jason Statham's going to be in it, one of my favorite actors ever. I
No,
will probably watch a Jason Statham movie like I'll watch a shark movie no matter what. I want to see it. So,
that's awesome. I like Jason Statham.
as
Badass.
do I.
Nice. Nice. All right, so I'll check that out. And any others that you recommend, or
Not that I can think of offhand. What about you? Anything?
busy week this week. I didn't really watch too much. I last weekend I had caught up on the rig, which you had told me about, which I thought was cool. I was not expecting this the supernatural stuff to it, so that was a nice, pleasant surprise. I thought it was more just
Mm-hmm.
like a straightforward story. But yeah, unfortunately, it's just I'm kind of behind. But I'm excited because Yellow Jackets is coming soon, the next season, which that was like my favorite show last year that came out
So
last
good.
year. So good. And then I believe the last night might have been the first episode or first couple episodes of uh, Party Down, which was a show on Stars. I believe it was on Stars years ago, like 10 years ago, with a young Adam Scott and Lizzie Kaplan and Martin Starr and Megan Mullally. And I think it ran for 2 seasons. It was comedy. It was really good, but first of all, I believe it was on Stars, which Star shows don't usually last long because nobody has that. I have it now apparently, but but I'm really excited because it's like 10 years later or whatever, however long it's been since the original. So I'm looking forward to that. Just kind of gonna try to catch up on everything. Oh, the one I did watch that I on HBO, and it's not great, but it's not bad. This would be a movie to watch, like if you're looking for something to watch. Like you've watched everything else, you caught up on all your stuff, and you're just like, oh, I can't find anything on HBO. It's called The Menu with Ray Fiennes,
Oh,
and
all
uh,
right.
it's like I said, not great, but it's not terrible either. It's got Anya Joy Taylor too. She was the little girl from The Witch, but she's grown up now. And it's all right. I mean, it's like I said, it's not the best film, but I've seen worse. It's one of those you're looking for kind of horror-ish, mystery-ish. It's all right. So, but
I
other
wrote it down. I'll check it out.
yeah. But other
Speaking
than
of stars, there's a and it. I feel like I haven't brought this up to you before, and I can't remember what the name of it is, but you saying stars just reminded me. But Courtney Cox is in it, and I think it's called Under the Veil or In the Veil or Through the
that,
Veil or something like that.
Nightingale. I saw. Yep.
That's
That's why I have it right now. It was because I had like a free. I saw that, and they're like, "Oh, it was a free month," and I was like, "All right," because I wanted to watch it. It was really good. It's really, yeah. That's actually a very good show. All right.
all right.
Well,
Well, I feel like you have a camping movie for me today.
I do. And this one is, and I know I say this a lot, we say this a lot, but I really, really like this film. And it's a lot of fun. It's everybody should see this film because it's a really good one. And what I'm talking about is the 2010 black comedy horror film Tucker and Dale versus Evil. And like I said, it's black comedy horror, but it's very, very funny. Stars Tyler Labine, I love him in pretty much every role he does. He had another one. Was it like dealt with ghosts and something? I can't even remember, but he's good. Alan Tudyk, Resident Alien, and Doom Patrol, everything. The boy does voices. He's in it as well. Katrina Bowden, Brandon J. McLaren, Jesse Moss, Keelan Simmons. So not aside from Tyler and Tyler Labine and Alan Tudyk, not super known people, but still, it's a very, very, very funny film, guys. It was really it first premiered in 2010 at the Sundance Film Festival, and then a few months later received a limited release in the United States. And I don't know why it was a limited release, because maybe just because they didn't think it was gonna do well, because I feel like this would have done kind of okay at the if it got a wider release, but unfortunately it was only a limited release. Anyway, so it's 89 minutes long, so it's a breeze. It's short film, but it's a lot of fun. It had a budget of $5 million, and at the box office did 5.5. Now it's going on to gross more, but not a ton more. It's unfortunate because I know so many people that haven't even heard of this film, and I find that very, very unfortunate because it's just so much fun. It's just a fun film. So I'll get into the plot briefly. So you have Tucker and Dale with Tyler Labine and Alan Tudyk, and they're kind of hillbilly-ish or rednecky or whatever you want to say, and they just bought the vacation home of their dreams. Which happens to be a rundown lakefront cabin that's deep in the woods. So they're on their way to it to go to their cabin of their dreams, kind of fix it up and everything. And at the same time, there's a group of college kids out there vacationing and everything, and they are made aware of a story that happened, or an issue that happened 20 years ago, the Memorial Day Massacre, where a group of hillbillies, or a hillbilly, attack and kill some kids. So anyway, blah blah blah. I had mentioned these kids being on out there on vacation. Well, some of these kids mistake Tucker and Dale for these murderous hillbillies that are going to try to kill him. And as you can imagine, just chaos and hilarity ensues. And it's so fun, guys. I'm not going to tell you too much about it because, like I said, me and Shay, like we were just saying, not a lot of you have seen it, but that said, that just sets up the film. It's just that sort. It's a simple device. A lot of films use it where it's a mistaken identity type of thing, and and from there the chaos and everything, the whole story unfolds. Um, a little bit of gore, not too much. It's more in a humorous, kind of in a humorous way. But it's just I want you to be aware of it, that there is a little bit of gore, a little bit of blood, and stuff like that. So just be warned. But guys, really, really do yourself a favor, check this film out because it is so fun. Like I said, I'm purposely leaving a lot out because this movie didn't get its due, and it's just quite unfortunate to me. It's
Yeah.
um, now you've seen it,
Yeah.
and
So you're right, and it's hard because I genuinely know way too many people that haven't seen this movie, and
mm,
I know a lot of the people who haven't seen it don't even is like not even on their radar to give a chance, and I don't understand why, but that's probably because I've seen it, and
yeah,
it's if you have seen it, you understand when I say this. Like it is, you have to see it to believe it. It's there's no amount of detail we're gonna give you that's gonna make you go, "Oh crap, yeah, no, I gotta see that," without ruining it. You
yeah,
have to see. You just have to watch it. It's so unique. It's so funny. It's horrible and great, and it's really literally the perfect camping movie.
I agree, and I think part of it, at least now that I just thought of this as we're talking, I remember when I first watched it, probably back in 2010 when it came out or whatever, or 2011. Um, I remember thinking, and that was a different, we're 13 years later, but I remember thinking at the time now that I think maybe the title had something to do with some people just passing it over. I'm not saying that's why it's not as popular as it was, but some people at that time and before, it's now you're seeing longer titles on movies and stuff and TV shows and whatever. But back, like when we were growing up and stuff, usually a movie title was one, two, or three words.
Yeah.
And it was usually short. And usually it was one or two, unless you were Steven Seagal, then you had like most of his had three, like Hard to Kill and whatever else the fucking guy did.
Yep.
Um, so I remember, and I could be way off on that, but I remember thinking that just that title may have made people not go to it, or
Yeah.
whatever,
No,
or
I agree 100%, honestly.
on that. So, but guys, do yourself a favor. It's so fun. It's a good one.
It's so good. All
Yeah.
right. I have the feature today, and surprise, I'm super excited to talk about it.
Mhm.
um, I'm going to talk about the main Conjuring movie, the first Conjuring movie, but I'm going to touch on all three Conjuring movies. The Conjuring franchise is obviously very big, and I'm not going to touch on all that stuff. I will let you know that yes, the Annabelle movies are in it. I don't think that sounded like I said Annabelle, so the Annabelle movies are in it. You have The Nun, which I'll let you derive your own opinion if you've seen that
Yeah.
movie. I was not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about today. So we're gonna now start talking about the Conjuring movies. So the first one came out in 2013, the second one 2016, and then you have the Conjuring, which is the third one. The Devil Made Me Do It in 2021. All three of them have Vera Farmiga, Patrick Wilson as Ed and Lorraine Warren, and Sterling Jerins as Judy Warren, who and they're awesome. And I love Patrick and Vera in this. They act so well together. You really think that that's how they feel about each other, and it's just so great. The first one is set in the new home of the Perrin family. You have Carolyn and Roger, and then their five daughters: Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and April. They all move into this like really quaint little, well, really not little, but like farm-ish looking style house in 1971. And when they're moving in after, while they're still kind of unpacking and getting familiar house with the house, you learn that the daughters, the four older daughters, generally, like to play this game that they call hide and clap. Now, I'm bringing this up because this game is creepy, but it's great. And I wish I knew about it when I was a kid, and it's really kind of interesting. But it's called hide and clap. And it's just like hide and seek, and you have one seeker, and then everybody else hides, just like hide and seek. But now, as the seeker is walking around trying to find you, they can request that you clap, and you have to, no matter how close you are to the seeker, no matter if it's about to get you found, you have to clap or you lose. So this leads to a really cool scene that I'll touch on in a few minutes. But while the girls are playing that first night, or close to the first night, it seems like it's the first night in the movie. They're hiding in this like little closet thing under the stairs, and they knock loose a board that is blocking or barricading the basement. They didn't know they had a basement, but now they just found out that they have a boarded up basement. And from then on, really, they become terrorized by paranormal entities. Now, one cool thing about this hide and clap game is while the older girls are in school, the youngest girl is home, and she's a little upset because the older sisters don't always let her play, and she asked her mom to play hide and clap with her, and she did. So this led to like a really cool scene where she's pretty sure the daughter's in like a closet or like an armoire, I think, like a not connected closet. I think that's called an armoire. And she has her clap, but then you find out that the girl wasn't in there. So that's like the first like real hint of something's going on here. At one point, the mother is down in the basement, like going down the stairs, and the lights go out, and she hears a whisper, and it says, "Want to play hide and clap?" And then you hear it claps next to her, and I get instant goosebumps when I think about that.
Yeah, me too. I just
Yeah,
hairs on my neck, and I can picture that scene so vividly.
yeah, it's such a great scene, and it's funny because it's so simple. It's like the most simple thing you can do, but it's so chilling. I will tell you that if you haven't for some reason seen this yet, you do plan on watching it after this, that there is a family dog who refuses to go in the house from the second they get there. She won't go in, and her name is Sadie, and she is killed. She's killed off camera. You don't see her die, but the little one of the little girls finds her. So that is the thing that happens. Now, of the things that start to happen around the house, you have the clocks all stopping at 3:07. There's knocking in the middle of the night in triplicate. There's foul smells, almost like rotting flesh, maybe. And then, really disturbing too, is there's bruises starting to form on the mother. They're just, at first, she thought like maybe, like an accidentally bumped into something, or maybe her and the husband were a little too randy or whatever. And I like that word. I don't know why.
Oh,
Um,
that's great. I love that you said random.
um, but they keep on appearing. They're big in there. So the husband gets concerned and says, "You should get that checked and maybe get on some iron or something." But, um, anyways, so the stuff that's happening around the house gets so bad and so severe, and the family becomes so scared that they all end up basically living in the living room. They all their bedding is down there, and they sleep there, so they feel like they're safer in numbers. They're really kind of stuck in the house. They can't, all of their money is tied up in the house. They can't really afford to go anywhere else, and they are stuck. Now the parents track down the Warrens, who are kind of doing like a lecture or something at a college, and they track them down, and then they begged them for their help. And Ed is concerned with Lorraine doing it anymore because every time she does what she does, it takes a little bit from her. And when Lorraine sees the picture that they show them a picture, and then when Lorraine sees the picture, she sees something within it that immediately makes her agree. Doesn't care what Ed has to say about it. She agrees. She needs to help this family. She needs to help those little girls and their parents. Fast forward a little, and then They show up with a small crew of people. They set up equipment, and it's your run of the mill ghost hunting stuff. You got the cameras and the black lights and the really everything. The EMF stuff and so on. During the visit, the mom becomes possessed by Bathsheba. Uh, Now, there are some other really cool things that happen in this movie that I'll touch on after, but I'm going to kind of fast forward a little bit through it. The Warrens are basically there to help them, and one of the things they want to try to do now is get them approved for an exorcism. They need to prove that there is absolute cause for an exorcism, and they do this. But where the parent family doesn't belong to a church, it had to be approved directly from the Vatican, and that is not easy to do. They eventually run out of time, and there's nothing they can wait for, and Ed ends up doing it himself. He had been part of other exorcisms before, so he knew what he was doing, but that scene is so friggin' cool. Obviously, there's some camera magic that happens, but it is she's tied to this chair, and then she's got like a sheet over her, and like the flipping of the chair and the movements and her face like coming through the sheet it's so chilling, and it's one of the cooler exorcism scenes I think I've ever seen. Yeah. And you definitely have like some of the body contortion and stuff like that you see in most of them, but this one, it tugs on your heartstrings in a way that you don't always get when it comes to these movies. Now, a couple of the really kind of neat things that they touch on in these movies that gives it that base chill in your spine is one of the little girls is in her bed in the middle of the night, and something reaches up and grabs her foot and gives her a pull. If that is not the base of all of your childhood fear, I don't know what is, because that's why your feet have to be under the blanket and not hanging off the edge of your bed. So, yeah, so that's basically the first one, and in every case that they do, they usually end up leaving with some sort of an artifact that is possessed in itself in some way almost, and they add it to their collection. And this one, it's a music box that almost looks like a circus tent that one of the little girls was using to see one of Bathsheba's victims. Now we have The Conjuring 2 from 2016, and that brought us all the way to England to Enfield. And it's a single mom of 4, and she reaches out for help because she feels like something evil is in their home. It turned out that the youngest daughter was possessed, but in the whole process here, Ed and Lorraine come to the conclusion that, are you okay?
Yeah. I mean, the mailman. Dude, my ring keeps going off, and oh man, that's why I was annoyed there. Sorry.
No, you're fine. It looked like something was wrong. That's all. Let's make sure you're right. All right. So Ed and Lorraine actually get to a point in this case where they think that it might be being done deliberately as a publicity stunt for money. Something's lined up. Obviously, she's a single mom. One of her kids has, maybe medical needs, or, he has needs speech therapy and stuff like that. So there's obviously going to be some financial burden, and they leave. They leave because they deem it to be fake. Now, as they're leaving, something happens. It clicks. Lorraine realizes that there is actually something going on in the house, but something in that house was blocking her from being able to see it. And they turn back immediately to go and help. Now, they do find that the little girl is possessed by an old man. And this little girl is phenomenal, as were all the little girls in the first one. The little girls are creepy. I don't know how you do it, but they're creepy and awesome. And they help rid her of that. They find that the nun was the thing blocking Lorraine from seeing what was going on. You get a flashback. Well, not a flashback, like a flash of future what is thought to be going to happen to Ed, and it actually sends Lorraine almost into hiding after this movie. The thing that they take from this house is probably my favorite artifact, and I think it's called a zoetrope, but it's this like little machine, and you wind it up, and it's like a little light inside, and it starts spinning, and you can almost see this, and it's just like a collection of drawings, which makes something look like it's walking. And this one happened to be a Crooked Man one, and the Crooked Man poem is awesome.
Mm.
And they were actually using the Crooked Man poem as like a speech tool for the little boy, and it just much like from it when they were using he thrusts his fist against the post. Kind of like that. Now we have the third Conjuring movie, or Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. And this starts with the exorcism of an 8-year-old boy named David. At this exorcism is his family and his older sister's long-term, at that point, boyfriend, Arnie Cheyenne Johnson. Arnie is part of the family. He is cared for by this family. He cares about this family, and he is so close to this little boy that seeing him go through this agonizing thing and knowing that this entity is just not leaving him alone, it angers him to a point where he just decides he's going to offer himself to it, and he does, and it goes to him, and he takes it on, and he takes it away from the boy. And at first, briefly, everything seems well. The little boy is getting better, and everything seems normal briefly. Now we'll flash forward a little bit, and his girlfriend works at a dog kennel, and her boss is not a pleasant man. Now, understandably, some of what he sees going on is exaggerated in his mind from the possession. But there is something going on, and he just snaps, and he kills her boss. Now, he leaves after killing him, and he's found walking down the street by the police, covered in blood, just really out of it, wonky, kind of just aloof, having no clue of anything. And he's arrested, he ends up being arrested for the murder and found guilty. It's discovered that the possession was due to a curse, and that there were other possessions that were caused by the same. It's supposed to be like a witch in this one, but they find totems in a lot of the same totems in some of the other victims' residences, like whether it be near their bed or whatnot. One really cool scene in this, and this is something that we hadn't seen before, was Ed was, I won't say possessed, but he was almost like enchanted by this entity, and he goes after Lorraine to like kill her. And like, if you've seen all of these now, you're attached, you love these people, you are, this, it was really hard to watch and see that happen. But she basically has to pull him back, and she forces him to remember the place they shared their first kiss. And it was like in this gazebo, and it's a really sweet scene, and it's not really like super prominent in the story, but I feel like it was worth a mention. So sorry. I'll let you know that Arnie Cheyenne Johnson, yes, he is a real person. This is a real case. He was sentenced to 10 to 20 years, first-degree murder, and he only served 5 due to good behavior. But The Devil Made Me Do It was absolutely a case that they tried to plead in court, and that hence the name of the movie.
Very interesting case, too. Very.
Yeah.
I know me and you have talked about that case in the past.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
It's so interesting, and it's funny because it pulls you in a couple different directions, because part of you is like, really? And then, but then other part of you is like, oh, really? Like how do you almost can't not believe it. But yeah, it's a really strange case, and a really interesting case that is worth a Google all its own, even beyond just watching these movies.
If you're into paranormal, stuff, you should check it out, because it's very interesting, and gives you sort of an insight and a little different insight into the movie as well by doing a little. Yeah.
All right. Well, for the rating system, I'm gonna do claps.
Oh,
1 to 10 claps. And I feel like I want us to rate the first one
okay.
and then all three together, if that makes sense.
Okay, because that was going to be my follow up question was how do you want so okay. Um, so I really, really like this franchise. It helps that, it's not far from here. The Conjuring house is not far from where I'm at right now. I'm hoping those new owners that bought it will open it to tours. Maybe we can get in there and do an investigation slash tour of it. Because I know the last owners were doing it. I think it was quite pricey for like an overnight.
Yeah.
But I think that would be a lot of fun. Like I said, it's probably about 20, 30 minutes up the road from me, not far at all. So that just adds to my liking of it. But I mean, they're really, really good horror films based on, even if you don't believe in the supernatural, they're based on real cases that these people did. So for the first film, I'm going to give it, boy, I'm going to give it a solid 7.5 right there for the first. Now the franchise, I like you briefly talked about the detractors of the third one, people or whatever not getting a lot of love, right? And which I like that one. I thought it was really good
Yeah,
personally.
same.
And but and so for the whole series, and I like two as well. I mean, I liked them all, and I mean, I like the other in the most of the movies in the universe. I mean, The Nun, but
Yeah.
La Llorona. I liked it because I liked the mythology of La Llorona, but so
Wait a minute. What?
isn't that part of it? La Llorona, is that not part of the universe? Am I?
You know what? I'm gonna look it up real quick because if it is, you just blew my mind.
Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I'm conflating stuff, but yeah, you can look it up. So anyway, for the whole series, I really enjoy it. I'm gonna go right with a 7.5. So I'm gonna say 7.5 for the first and 7.5 for the series because I enjoy it a lot.
Okay.
Is it part or am I way off on
So
that?
you actually both. Well, you're not way off on it. It's kind of part of it, but it's kind of not. It's so the way it says it is Michael Chaves, the guy who did La Llorona, said that it was only intended as a wink and a nod to the franchise. So it's not,
Oh, okay, okay.
but that's really cool though. I didn't know that. That is really neat. But
It was funny as I was saying it. I'm like, and I'm watching your face. I'm like, oh, did I? Am I way off on this? Because you were just like, huh? So I was like, oh fuck, maybe I'm conflating two series here.
well,
And
it's funny because like it makes sense that they would be, but it wasn't. It just for some reason never hit me like that. I don't. But yeah, that's really neat though.
so I had said 7.5 on both, which is kind of weird, but it's like I like the frame. I almost went 7 on for the first three, but I like the third one a lot. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with.
So if you had to order them, favorite just those three movies, favorite to least favorite, how would you order them?
So I've gone back and forth on this. I think I've done this before with somebody else, and uh, tomorrow could be different, but today I'm gonna say 213.
I feel like some days I would answer that way. I feel like most days I'd actually answer 1, 2, 3. But I
I
absolutely have days where I would answer 2, 1, 3, which is funny because
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, if you ask me tomorrow, I might say 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I might
yep.
because I really like two. I really really like two.
So for my rating, so the first Conjuring movie, I'm gonna give it, and I'm right on the same kind of track as you. I'm giving it an 8. and it's a great movie, and it's so chilling, and it's, you know, at the point when it came out, we had been kind of lacking in decent horror, and
Yes,
I
I agree.
yeah, and it very much came at a time where it was very much needed in the horror industry. Um and I think it paved way for a lot more to come after that. So this is
Oh,
awesome. As a whole set of three, as a whole trilogy, I'm gonna actually go 8.5
nice.
because I don't feel like either of the other two took away from the first one, and they've really only added. So I'm gonna go 8 and 8.5 claps for the first, and then all three.
And that's a great point that you put there. That it's like sometimes when you get sequels and prequels and stuff that um, they kind of end up detracting from it.
Mhm.
But these, as a whole, do I don't think in any way detract, but in fact enhance sort of each other. So that's a great point that you had brought up, and
Yep.
it's rare that that happens when you have, you know, multiple movies in a series like that, and then create a universe outside of that too, outside of those three. So um, yeah, Conjuring guys, check it out. It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. All right, you have
I have.
our kid slash family friendly feature today.
Yeah, and so I'm a big fan of this one, guys. It's a really it's a good one. Um, so I'm going to be talking about the 1982 dark fantasy kind of horror-ish film, The Dark Crystal, which was directed by Jim Henson and Frank Oz. Some of the voice actors are Stephen Garlick, Lisa Maxwell, Billy Whitelaw, Percy Edwards, Barry Dennen. Um, anyway, and it was it's only about 93 minutes long, so it's pretty short, which is good for, you know, kids with shorter attention spans. It's only an hour and a half. Excuse me. It was made on a $25 million budget, which was fairly high at the time. You got to think it's 1982, but they had to pay for all the animatronics, all that stuff. And at the box office, it did 41.4 million, and it's gone on to gross tons more. And since then, just VOD. This was actually, I remember this we owned on VHS when I was a kid in the 80s, and it was one of two tapes that me and my brother just wore out watching over and over and over again. We had this, and believe it or not, Jesus Christ Superstar. And guys, you gotta realize there wasn't as many stations back then, and in cable, even with cable, it wasn't a ton of stations. So you had VHSs, and you know, usually, you know, where you might own like 3 or 4 VHSs, and you just watch them over and over and over again
Mhm.
as a kid. At least I did growing up. So, but this was one of them. Um, it's guys, I'm gonna preface it. It's a little darker than some of our other family kids movies here. It's a little, so just keep that in mind. It's not like super dark or anything like that. It's just wanna, you know, I'm thinking anywhere 8 to 10 is fine. And you know your kids, but what do you think, Shay?
So I'm gonna agree with you, like the 8 to 10ish range, but I will tell you this is very likely to land very differently on different kids because it is absolutely creepy. So you could have some 8-year olds that are like, oh, this is just kind of funny and silly and whatever, and then you could have other kids, and I was actually one of these kids who freaked me out, like pretty good actually, and I was probably like 8 or 9, I think, the first time I saw it, and it freaked me out. So, you know, use your discretion, watch it with them if they're going to watch it, or you know your kids, just kind of use your judgment.
Yeah, because you know, the kids could find the sort of animatronics, puppet things a little, like, I remember finding them creepy, and, you know, nowadays when kids haven't seen that stuff like we saw
Yeah.
it back then, they might even find it creepier. I mean, I thought this was just kind of a cool fact. The Gelflings in it, it would take 4 puppeteers just to do the motion on one Gelfling. Like, it's just how, like, So goes into just what I was talking about, the 25 million guys. You have to pay all those people now too that are manipulating the bodies and everything on these puppets and animatronics. And anyway, that can add to the creepiness for the kids. So I'm going to give you a brief synopsis, and I'm going to apologize up ahead. There's a lot of like names and of characters and sort of like or the tribe that they're part of, or
The S names.
yeah, exactly. And they get a little confusing. So, and the what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set up the story because I could get way into the weeds here and talk about it. And I'm sure a lot of you are already seeing this, but I'm not gonna tell you the ending anyway, in case you haven't. Um, so, 1,000 years ago on the planet Thra, uh, two new races appeared when a shard was shattered or broken off the crystal of truth. And the two tribes were called, there were the two tribes that came about were the cruel and mean and not so good Skeksis, who who use their continued corruption of the crystal to extend their lives and try to live forever. And they're trying to use the shard and the crystal for sort of their own gain and darker purposes. And that's sort of not the idea behind it. And then the second tribe was the Uru, and they were gentle and tried to live with nature and everything like that, kind of like a hippie group. But they were more commonly known as the Mystics. And they made their home in the Valley of the Stones and, to await their destiny. The leader of the Mystics, the Master Ursu, finds and he ends up raising a young gelfling named Jen, who family and clan was unfortunately slaughtered by the Skeksis, the early, I mean, not the early, the evil or the not so great group that came out. Um, so, as the great conjunction of Thra's three sons draw near, a dying Ursu instructs Jen that it is his duty or obligation to fulfill the prophecy to heal the crystal by retrieving the shard that had broken off from Aughra. But if Jen fails to complete his quest before the three sons meet, the Skeksis, the bad guys, the evil, will rule forever. As Ursu passes, the Skeksis Emperor Skekso also dies, leaving the position for the leader vacant. The Chamberlain Skeksil and the Gartham Master Skek-Ung, and this is what I was talking about with the names, guys. You'll get it when you're watching. And another reason why I won't get too deep into the weeds because it's just going to be a lot of Skeksil, all these made up words that I can barely say. So the Chamberlain Skeksil and the Gartham Master Skek-Ung challenge each other on a trial by stone for succession, resulting in Skek-Ung defeating Skek-Skull. Skek-Skull, it's killing me. It's killing me here. Skek-Skull is stripped of his robes and banished, while Skek-Ung is proclaimed the new emperor. When Skeksis learns of Jen's existence, they send their army of giant crab-like Gartham to capture him, with the cunning Skeksil following. So that essentially sets up the story, guys. And it's Jen trying to fulfill his prophecy and bring peace back to the valley and the Valley of the Stones, and bring the tribes together if he can, and and root out the evil. And it's the evil trying to stop him, get the shard for themselves, so that they continue to use it for the darker elements that they've already been doing, like I said, trying to become immortal and whatever else. So that's as much as I'm gonna say here, guys. Because like I said, I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, so I'm not really worried about breaking, ruining the ending. But it's that's what you need to know for the story. And I highly recommend this film. I think it's a lot. It's a lot of fun, and I know some people probably think I'm crazy when I say this, but these, to me, more so than like the horror aspect, this was like it's like a quest film for me growing up, and I love those. You had your Goonies and Indiana Jones and those things where they're on a quest, and maybe that's how I see it. You might not agree with me or whatever, and I just love those, and it's just a lot of fun. Like I said, these people that go on a quest and have to sort of fulfill their destiny. It's it's yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
this is a Henson film, right?
Yes, Henson and Oz together. Yep. Now you've seen it, right?
I have, yes, and it, yeah, and it freaked me out when I was little. It's I don't know why, because I had seen stuff scarier than that at that point, but it was something about I can't remember the name, but the little blonde one, the she
Yeah.
freaked me out
Oh
so
yeah.
bad. Like I hated her. She freaked, yeah.
What was her name again? Oh God.
I can picture her, but I
I,
can't
I
remember her name.
know, and I'm thinking Najin and oh God. Um. Oh, but
I'm sure it was an S name because I
yeah, probably. God, it was Kira.
yes,
Kira. Yeah. Kara. But I do want to mention, I almost forgot, there is a newer one, Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance, which is, I guess, is it? I haven't seen it. Have you? The new one?
no, not yet, no.
Is it like I don't even really know. Is
I
it a
think it's a
sequel?
continuation. Yeah,
It's a continuation of the story.
I
Okay.
think so.
Okay, I've heard nothing but good things. I think it was up for awards and everything like that. It's just one of those that I haven't got around to, but I know the people that did watch it and that were fans of the original Dark Crystal had nothing but really, really good things to say about it, guys. But yeah, I can't say enough good things about this. So, like I said, use caution when with your kids. You know your kids best. I think about 8 years old is fine, but maybe 8 to 10. Check it out. It's a great film.
Yep, I agree. Well, it's funny because all the S names and all the very similar names have a very like George R. R. Martin or J.R.R. Tolkien like kind of feel to it. Like
Yes, it
it's
does. It,
it's hard to kind of whatever, but it's funny because the shard of truth, the shard the the shard of
yeah.
truth, not the shard of truth. I don't even know if I'm gonna edit that out because that's ridiculous.
Yes.
But anyways, the shard of truth, funny enough, reminds me a little bit of Dragon Glass,
Yeah, hey, I didn't thought of that, but yeah.
but
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
like a Muppety version of Dragon Glass, obviously. But
Yeah. And that's a great point. It is very Tolkien or Martin with all these names and
yes,
stuff like that.
Aragon, Aegon,
Yes,
Aragon, yeah,
exactly. They're tough to keep them, even if you're keeping on like reading. I read all the Game of Thrones. It's tough to keep them all straight after a while because it's Rhaegar, Rhaegon, Rhaegy. It's just like Jesus,
yeah,
guys.
it's
They're
a
all
lot.
yeah. So
Oh,
all
all
right,
right, have you got anything else for me today?
I do not.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for joining us, and meet us at the snack bar next week when Saw is on the big screen. Until then, sweet dreams.
Thanks, guys.